Hello folks, hello, it's Richard Stanton here from Kotaku UK, hope you're doing well, and this is a video about Marvel's Spider-Man, or Insomniac Spider-Man I should say, and my favourite aspect of it. I love the web swinging as well, but my favourite thing to do in this game is to fight just the generic bad guys basically, and there are these missions called base missions. This group of unfortunates are called the Demons. There are various criminal gangs throughout the game, and they all have these little bases dotted around the map. You go to the bases, and you fight 6 or 7 waves of enemies. As you can see with the first wave, you get the option to kind of take them out silently, but I don't think I bother with that very much here. Nope, there we go, straight into the action. So basically now they're just gonna, pour out of the walls, and you've got to survive. It really showcases this combat system at its best because, it's easy to look at this game and say, well, it's Arkham. It's copied a lot of the stuff from the Arkham combat system. Not that that's particularly unusual these days. I mean, lots of games have Arkham-style combat now. But it really manages to build this around Spider-Man. That's one of the finisher moves, by the way, another carryover from the Arkham style. A lot of what you can do in this is about his traversal abilities, and more than anything else, the sense of him being kind of untouchable. The enemies are always trying to get him, and you're just too fast. The spider sense, which of course is part of the comics, so it fits beautifully, means that, you can never get hit if you're good enough. I think I do get whacked a few times throughout this. I've already got a little bit of health missing, so obviously I did. That there, when the slowdown hits, is what happens after a perfect dodge, which is Insomniac's words, not mine. Your spider sense glows white, then blue, and if you dodge when it's blue, and if you have a mod installed, which I do, that's a perfect dodge, and it will slow down time. You can do the perfect dodge without the time slowdown, but I find it's kind of great because one of the things about this combat system, so that's a perfect dodge on a rifleman, and that lets you dodge straight into him and take him out in one hit. So beautiful. And here I've gone into a group of enemies and I've just started cracking out the finishers. For each bar of focus, which is the thing below the health bar, you can take out 2 enemies at once as long as they're close together. If not, it'll just be 1. But it means you can kind of zip around, like getting in hits here and there, using your webs a lot, building up focus, and then you can go into a group of half a dozen enemies and just slam them. It's an amazing kind of feeling. And when you're moving around and they can't kind of lay a finger on you, and he comes out with various quips, as hopefully you can hear, while he's fighting them, which are actually very well written. I do think this is generally a very well written game, and whoever it is who voices Spider-Man, I'm sorry the name escapes me, gives a wonderful performance as well. So in terms of like what I associate with Spider-Man, it's pretty much perfect really. I mean, the action sequences in this game capture the character in a way that I don't think video games have really managed before. His fluidity, his speed, the fact that enemies just can't lay a finger on him, and it's never looked so good. I'm pretty average, I would say. I've got slower as I got older, so anyone who's playing this will look as good as this basically. It's a real testament to the animation design. I say that of course as a giant enemy bum appears on the screen. It's one of the few problems this game does have. It's kind of a commonality to all third-person combat games, is occasionally it loses track of the character and gives you useless views basically. This happens in this one particularly with the finishers because it tries to give you a kind of cinematic view of what's going on, but it's really not a major problem. And as you can see here, one of the real delights is once you've got your dodge timing down, you're able to be in these big groups, jump in and out, absolutely slam the enemies, and so if you dodge into a wall, he crouches on the wall and you can immediately spring off with an attack. Again, we see the camera angle issue there, but it's really not a big thing in this game. And one of the things about this is when you look at the move set for Spider-Man, it's not actually that big, and at the start of the game, I mean, you have probably seen quite a lot of the same moves repeated here, but there's a lot of fluidity in how you kind of mix and match those. At the start I was using kind of very, very similar combos all the time. I wasn't really using my web shooters and so on. As you get more familiar with what it expects of you, I mean, because you do play it like Arkham at the start, you start moving a bit more, and that's when this game really starts to sing. The big finish. So there we are. I hope you've got an idea for why I admire what they've done with this combat system so much. It really seems to me to communicate something about the character and about how you always imagined he moved in the comics and have obviously seen in the movies and stuff. Anyway, I think it's actually the best bit of the game is Spider-Man beating up generic thugs, which seems quite appropriate really. Anyway, catch you next time.